Hello, third grade scientists, and welcome back. Today we will review the vocabulary you will be learning this week in your science lessons around weather and climate. Let's get going. We will review together the academic and content vocabulary for this unit of study. We will study the word meanings, look at examples to help you understand the work you will be doing during your science lessons this week. Let's get going. You guys have been doing a great job using these videos to review your vocabulary. Just briefly, let's talk again about the difference between academic and content vocabulary. Academic words are the words that you will find in some of the questions and focuses for the lessons. Remember, you may see these across all your subjects in school. The content words are the science words. They're specific to understanding your science lessons. Let's look at this week's academic vocabulary. This is one of your lesson focuses and objectives for the week. How can I use data to discover wind patterns? So you notice that the word data and discover is highlighted in red. Those are our academic words for the week. Take a moment and think about whether or not you have ever heard these words before. And if you have, what do you think they mean? Have you ever used them yourself in a sentence or in your writing? Or if your teacher says either one of these words, do you understand what they mean when she says them or uses them? Thinking caps on. Data. Data is a noun. It means the facts, figures, or other pieces of information that can be used to learn about something. I'm sure you've heard this word in your math lessons too. Whenever you're studying bar graphs, pictographs, line plots, these are all ways to show data. Data just means pieces of information. Another word that means the same thing is statistics or evidence. Look at these examples of the graphs I've just shown now at the bottom of the page. All of those graphs are displaying data. Discover. Discover is a verb. It means to find or see before anyone else. Another word that means the same thing is detect. I'm sure we used this word in our fossil unit when we talked about how scientists discover fossils within the rock in the earth. It means it's the first time that anybody is finding it or seeing it. Recently, the NASA engineers launched a mission in Mars called Perseverance. And this is a picture of the NASA scientists celebrating the successful landing of this mission. So these are scientists that are hoping to discover for the first time and bring back new information from the planet Mars. So this is a very good example of discover. Now let's look at some of your content vocabulary. Let's take a look at some of the important content words for this week's lessons. These are some words that you will learn about during your lessons this week. We have the word patterns, meteorologists, graphs, forecast, and prediction. Let's stop and put our thinking caps back on for another moment. Think about whether or not you have ever heard or read these words before. Maybe you've even used them before in your writing or your speaking. What do you think they mean? Or can you think of any examples? If the word feels brand new to you, can you take a guess or make a prediction, which is one of our words, about what the word might mean? Patterns. Patterns is a noun. Patterns are the typical activities and qualities of a group, person, or thing, such as weather. In other words, they repeat over and over again. Let's take a look at an example. This is an example of a graph showing the weather patterns in one area. Meteorologists, which we'll talk about in a moment, can study these patterns to help them make predictions about the weather. In other words, they can watch what happens over and over again and take that data and information to help them with their predictions. Graphs. Graphs is also a noun. A graph is a diagram that shows the relationship between two or more changing things by lines, bars, dots, or portions of a circle. I talked about this when we talked about the word data and how data can sometimes be displayed in a graph and how you may have learned about that during some of your math units. So let's look at some examples. These are some examples of some different types of graphs. Here you see bar graphs, a line plot, a pie graph. These are all different types of graphs, and they're used to show relationships between information or between data. A meteorologist is also a noun. A meteorologist is a scientist who studies the Earth's weather and atmosphere. Think about where you may have heard or seen a meteorologist before. Maybe you have seen a meteorologist here on TV. Every day on the news, one portion of the news is dedicated to weather. And there you will see a meteorologist pointing to maps or maybe showing patterns and graphs of what the weather will be for the week in your area where you live. Forecast. Forecast is a verb or an action word. It's something that you can do. When you forecast, you state what is likely to happen. So in other words, you're saying what's probably going to happen in the future, but you use some information to make that forecast. So a weather forecast might look like this. And you may have seen this also on the news. So they'll predict what the weather is going to be like and make a forecast for the week, showing what the sky will look like, what the temperature might be, what the high temperature, low temperature. This is a weather forecast. Prediction. Prediction is also a noun. Prediction is the act of telling or trying to tell what will happen in the future. So you can see how all these words are related. A meteorologist will make a prediction during their weather forecast. So in that sentence, we used 3 of our vocabulary words. We have the meteorologist, who is the scientist that studies weather. He or she will make a prediction or say what's going to happen in the future during their weather forecast, which is actually the prediction of the weather in the future. So here you see a meteorologist making a prediction during her weather forecast. These were some awesome words related to weather and climate. You're doing a great job. Now that you're familiar with these awesome words, you'll be able to use them and understand them during your learning. Great work, third grade scientists. Keep it up.